When the Moreno family moved to the small mountain village of Ridge Hollow, they wanted a new beginning. Something peaceful, something untouched. The world they'd come from was crowded, loud, and cruel in ways that never healed. So when they saw the little cottage surrounded by pines and wildflowers, they thought, this is where we start again. It was their first week. Their quiet roads, the scent of rain on soil, and the sound of wind threading through the forest like a lullaby. Then one evening, as the sun was sinking behind the trees, they noticed a pair of eyes glinting in the fading light. Golden, unblinking, watching. At first, they thought it was a stray cat, but as it stepped from the shadows, they froze. It wasn't a cat. It was a bobcat, lean, powerful, with tufted ears and spots fading like smoke across its fur. The creature didn't move toward them, but it didn't run either. It just stared, curious, silent. Little Sophia, the Moreno's 8-year-old daughter, whispered, "Mama, it's thirsty." Her mother frowned, but her father, Daniel, quietly set down his water bottle, poured some into a small tin bowl, and placed it near the dirt road. The bobcat watched, then, slowly, cautiously, it approached, it drank, and when it was done, it lifted its head and looked straight at them. There was no fear in its eyes, only something strange, like gratitude. Tenit, Torned, and followed them. From the road through the wooden gate, all the way home, the bobcat trailed behind, never too close, never too far. When they reached the porch, it stopped. Daniel laughed softly. "Guess we have a neighbor now." That night, the family spoke about the bobcat over dinner. Sophia named him Ridge, after the mountain behind their home. They thought that was the end of it. But the next morning, Ridge was there, sitting on the porch, silent, waiting. Daniel stepped outside with leftover chicken and gently set it down. Ridge didn't eat right away, just stared for a moment, then took the food and disappeared back into the trees. And the same thing happened again. Every morning, every evening, days turned into weeks. The bobcat became part of the rhythm of their lives, wild, distant, yet oddly loyal. Then one day, something changed. Daniel set down a bowl of meat, as usual, but Ridge didn't eat. Instead, he bit into it. Not to chew, but to carry. He turned and started walking toward the forest, glancing back, as if to say, "Follow me." Confused but curious, Daniel motioned to his wife, Mara, and they followed quietly through the undergrowth. After a few minutes, Ridge stopped near a hollow log beneath an old oak tree. He crouched and made a soft, guttural sound, a sound halfway between a purr and a cry. And from the darkness, two tiny shapes stumbled out. Two cubs. One limped slightly. The other was thin, frail, trembling. Mara gasped, tears filling her eyes. Ridge dropped the meat near them and stepped back, watching Daniel closely, as if asking for help, but terrified to ask too much. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Daniel knelt slowly and whispered, "It's all right, Ridge. We'll help." Over the next few days, the Morenos returned often, bringing food, water, and blankets. Ridge never left his cub's side, but over time he stopped hiding from them. He'd sit just a few feet away, eyes soft, muscles relaxed. The cubs began to grow stronger. Sophie even named them Ash and Willow, and sometimes, when the air was still, Ridge would let Sophia sit nearby, sketching him quietly in her little notebook. He'd watch her, head tilted, calm. Trust, the kind that only forms in silence, was blooming between them. One night, a terrible storm swept across the valley. The wind screamed, trees bent low, and lightning split the sky. Daniel worried about Ridge and the cubs, so when the rain softened, he grabbed a lantern and ran into the forest. He found the hollow log flooded, the cubs shivering and soaked. Ridge stood over them, desperate, his fur heavy with rain. Without a word, Daniel lifted the cubs into his coat and gestured toward home. Ridge followed, not attacking, not growling, just trusting. That night, The family let Ridge and his cubs shelter on their porch, wrapped in blankets by the glow of the lantern light. Ridge never slept. He just watched his cubs breathe. And when morning came, the rain had stopped. The world was fresh, silent, reborn. Ridge stood, brushed past Daniel's leg gently, and walked back into the wild. The cubs hesitated, tin-followed. Sophia cried softly, whispering, "Will they come back?" Her mother smiled faintly. "If they trust us, they will." And they did. Not every day, not on command, but always when it mattered. When the first snow fell, paw prints appeared near the porch. When Sophia was sick, Ridge came and sat by the fence until she was better. When Daniel lost his father that spring, Ridge appeared at dusk, watching him from the tree line, silent, present, steady. It was as if the wild itself was keeping watch over them. Years later, when Ridge grew old, he returned one last time, slow, thin, his eyes dim but peaceful. He sat on the porch where it had all begun. Daniel knelt beside him, whispering, "You found us once when we needed something to believe in. Thank you, old friend." That night, Ridge lay still under the stars. The next morning, they buried him beneath the oak where his cubs had first been found. And every spring after, a pair of bobcats were seen there, their fur golden in the sun, their eyes watching from the trees. The Morenos always left a bowl of water by the porch, a quiet thank you to the wild heart that once trusted them enough to stay. Trust is not given, it's earned through kindness, patience, and respect. Even the wildest hearts will remember love that expects nothing in return. If kindness could bridge the space between fear and trust, would you have reached out your hand to something wild, knowing it might walk away? Or would you let fear keep you from finding a friend you'd never forget?